All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Quant Data Q&A Sundays edition, right? with me, ABJ. Here's a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Sunday. It seems like I don't know who's gotten sick so far, but man, it looks like everybody I know has been getting sick. Carmen's sick right now. My mom was sick, and my wife's stupid sister's sick. And her husband. Like, it's crazy. Something's going on. Everybody be vomiting, but, as long as we here in Quant Data vomit some profits, I guess that's all that matters, right? I don't know. But looks like we have quite a week ahead of us. Not only that, it's half a year now. This is officially the halfway point, right? June, right? I hope that everyone is keeping track of their own trading performance, right? Keeping track of their trading performance, journaling. I see that in the last month that we've been trading live with you guys, that a lot of the new people even some of the people that have been here a little bit longer, they finally started to take the first steps into journaling. And that, to me, is great. That's fantastic. Oh, I think there's a big fly in my room. Yeah, because if you're not journaling, if you're not backtracking your wins and your losses and seeing how you came about winning and losing, I don't think you're here to participate at a higher level, right? You're just going to be one of those guys that forever wakes up right when the market opens, like a minute before, throws on a bunch of trades and just hopes for the best. We don't want to do that here in Quant, right? My money's important, right? The money that I throw into the market, I expect for it to grow, hopefully. Doesn't always happen, but more often than not, it does. And so I want that for you guys too. So, without further ado, we'll continue on here. So, what do we got going on into the first week of June? Well, remember that Friday was end of month. Friday we had, what was May 30th, right? That was the last day. So we saw a little bit of movement, a little bit of moves, right? But overall, what did we end up doing? We actually ended right around the same area that we started. So that gave us a lot of opportunities, but this also told us that there might be a lot of liquidity, a lot of people exiting and rolling their positions, which makes sense because what is Monday? It's Mutual Fund Monday, right? It's start of the month as well. So we should see some positions start to maybe give us a trend, hopefully. That's kind of the idea that I have so far. Personally, I'm a little bit biased. I think we should be coming into a bearish week and then coming back up after we've met some levels. So, looking through the charts, at the very least, we have definitely a slowdown, right? So this is a 30-minute. This is only filtered for New York. What do we have? Well, we have this area of interest that we've missed, right? Actually, it's gone a little bit. I can actually shrink it down a little bit. We did meet it just by a little bit. So what is that? 58, 53.25, and then we have all of this. So this is a big area of interest that I'm. A lot of people on Twitter have been talking about it. I see it too. Obviously, we can all see it. There's something there. It's inefficiency, right? And not only that, we made a move 2 weeks ago, and we're kind of stalled out. This big gap here, remember what it was? It was that a Supreme Court ruling thing where they said, oh, Trump's stuff is illegal. And then what happened? It just basically faded the entire thing. So all of this is just a big buildup. From what I can see now, it looks like that's all it was. And so let's see if it holds. At the moment, this is what futures looks like right now. At the moment, let me put this back down. Ooh, still getting used to my vertical mouse. Even though it's my vertical mouse is fantastic, it do get in the way sometimes. Yeah, but this is what we're looking at right now. Some people thought that futures were going to gap down heavily. Did we? No, not really, right? We didn't really gap down. It was barely a gap down. There's a lot of opportunities though. I think London should probably show some sort of trend, and I think that going into New York, we should definitely see that trend hold. I want to see if how we are going to digest some of the weekend's shenanigans that we've had already. But going into this week, here are the news that we have. This one is pretty important. ISM manufacturing PMI. Obviously, you want to pay attention to the red folders here. So that's 30 minutes into the New York session. And then we have this. This is something that a lot of people were waiting for. Powell speaking. So Powell do be speaking. 10 a.m. So that's right after New York City lunch. We should probably see him respond. I know Powell does a very good job at not responding to some of the questions regarding, President Trump and all that, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm always interested to see what kind of questions are thrown at him regarding, Trump says he wants to fire you. Trump says this. Trump says that. How do you respond? And he'll defend. I don't need to respond to that stuff. He can't fire me. It's not in his rights. Can't do it. Jolts. We have Jolts the day after, 30 minutes in the market session. So I think going into Wednesday as well too, it looks like every day we have red folders. So every day we have something except for Friday. So this is all pre-market stuff. So it doesn't really matter. Shouldn't really matter to us unless you're trading the London session. But we should be able to digest this. And then right after that, it does seem like it's a bit of a digestion Friday. We have a full week ahead of us. Last week we had only 4 days. This week, I think we should establish something now. Again, I personally think that we might come down and visit these. Right? If we do, I believe it will be a buying opportunity. Even if we come here or back into this is Monday actually. This is the day it was closed, but we still have it on ES, of course. So I don't know. I'm not convinced of a bullish so far, but I do think if we go into the data that there's some clues. I'm going to show you guys right now. Going into here. If we look at a longer time frame, this is kind of what it looks like. So these are deltas, right? What do we kind of see? What do we see? Right, Jacob's right. Trump did meet with Powell the other day, but there was no verbiage regarding that. No one posted about anything that they talked about. So maybe he talks about it on tomorrow. Hopefully he does, because we're all curious, right? So what we're seeing is everything's pretty thin up until this OPEX, right? June 20th. And even going further from there, this is the other one that I keep my eyes on often. This is the one that keeps whipsawing back and forth. So if we actually go on May 30th and you go to let's say, I don't know, 11 a.m., see what happens. If it loads. It should load. Unless it's my internet. I've been having internet issues. Yep, things are still holding out pretty clean. Still 116. If I go back to 28th. I know this takes a little bit of time to load. Look, so this is gone now. If we zoom into now, this remains, and these are still very thin. So this is what I think. This week, first week, maybe we come down for a better buying opportunity. Overall, it does look like the market is back. It's back in action. Now, I know some of us here in the chat, we know people that have definitely sold at the bottom and are just now getting back in, right? So they got scared and they sold. That's not us. That ain't us. Ooh. Don't you do this to me. Right? Some people got scared and they sold and they're just now getting back in. Now, this was quite a move back up. We've seen this before. I'm fixing to get scared and sell. In the chat there. Yeah, so there's a lot of things still being talked about that we just don't know what the outcome is going to be. But I think hedging yourself is probably good, right? You guys know that in the chat I have been loading up covered calls almost every weekend and buying a few puts as a just in case. I think we're going to probably continue doing that and up until June 20th. I think after June 20th, because of this, I want to see where this exposure goes after. Does it actually just sell off, or does it roll forward into the other OPEXs that are important, the September and the December? So that's my initial thoughts so far. Temporary downside because these are so thin. Like we've seen 7 billion, we've seen 20 billion reverse and contract into negatives, and I think we might see that for the first little bit. So June 2nd, like this is what we're looking at. It's super thin. I'm going to zoom this back out to today. Hey DVD, thanks for hanging out, man. Always appreciate you hanging out here. I'll run through some of your messages after. I don't think they ever wanted peace. Well, that's going to be up to speculation. But yeah, so this is what it's looking at like right now. If you look on June 2nd, May 30th obviously is over. June 2nd, 3 billion. June 3rd, 800. 2, 1, and then the 6th is negative. So this is why I think there's an opportunity to come down. And so looking at that, it's pretty good. I'm going to zoom it back out now. I wanted to go over some of the order flow stuff. Yeah, so who has been utilizing my filter so far? Who's been utilizing the ABJ filter for consolidated order flow? I wanted to speak a little bit about it because there's been some pretty good hits as of late. Tesla obviously has paid a lot of us very handsomely, myself included. You know, and I wanted to actually talk about how seeing these hits and then thinking about how you can manage your own risk in regards to these hits that come in. So whoever's been joining in on the live streams, how has ABJ, I know I'm talking about myself in third person, but how has ABJ been taking advantage of the potential Tesla 450? So let me show you Tesla. I'm not going to use this guy. This guy's not working out. No. So here is Tesla. What a nosedive it's experienced so far. This is actually, this is after hours. Things are not looking too hot. But we're not hurt that bad on it, right? Because we started picking up these longs when we started to see those 450 hits. Yes, TSLL, that is how I've been trading it. Now, TSLL, what is TSLL? So this is Tesla. Let me show you what TSLL looks like. Now, you can do this with anything that has leveraged shares. So this is your TSLL. Same thing, right? It's the leveraged of Tesla. Now, few things, right? For those guys that have been getting destroyed on just buying naked calls and, you know, naked puts, and looking for a different way to put on risk in the market. Well, I'll say, you know, there really is nothing wrong with putting in some of these shares here. So we saw the Tesla 450, 400 for June and July. Those calls started getting picked up quite a bit. A lot of people ask, like, oh, like, how come you're not taking the same call? Well, there's a few ways. There's a few things, right? I'm not that confident in a market gradually moving up. Am I that confident in Tesla leading us to, you know, this kind of moonshot scenario? I'm not sure, but because we're not that confident, but we do want to participate somehow, you can take advantage of these shares. So Granite shares, I'm going to post it to you guys here. There's a couple that I really like. Shares. So Granite shares. Right now, little do you, a lot of people know that a lot of trading floors actually use these leverage shares. If you ever see traders trade in large quantities, do you think they actually pick up large quantities of Tesla? Tesla trading at what, $300 right now, right? 340. To make a little bit of money on this, like if Tesla moved $1, how much do you need to buy in order to make, I don't know, $1,000? How much do you need to buy? You guys already know it, right? So Granite shares is really good. I like T-Rex as well. Direction. I'm going to give you these links. Now again, a lot of trading floors actually do use these leverage shares to gain exposure. So where are the ETF favorites? Total, is it T-Rex, Google, Granite shares, Direction, and I believe it's this one. Total has some too, but it's not the main. So I'm going to post these links for you guys in the chat. So Granite shares, and just filter through like their ETFs that they have. And if you ever wanted to take a trade on Tesla, but you don't want to take the actual option contract, well, TSLL is a very popular one. You can actually take a look at the volume yourself. So take a look at the volume that's exchanged. Right now, let's say you wanted to make just $100 with your small little account, and you wanted to get long on Tesla. How would you do that? How are some of the ways that you could do that? You could pick up 100 shares of TSLL and look for $1, because look at how much TSLL actually moved. So this opened at 15.14, closed the day at 16.48. So that's pretty solid. The other thing that a lot of people wonder why we trade these leveraged shares for intraday is there's just other ways, right? So remember, there's all these different ways to trade the market. There's shares, there's options, right? Most risky if buy side, options, least risky if sell side, right? But not a lot of profit, right? There's leverage shares, ability to hedge yourself, and then of course futures, no ability to hedge. Lots of leverage. Right, so if we're wrong on, like if I'm wrong on Tesla, if I'm wrong, I won't be at the moment though, I'm in from 11 something, so, but if Tesla starts all of a sudden coming down, what are some ways that I can, still have my position on, but get a little bit of premium for the fact that it's coming down? Right now, we do this a lot. I do this a lot. I've been doing it every weekend, just in case. Sell covered calls, right? You guys know this. Right, so single option. Right, let's go to June 6th. Tesla's at what now? 14 something. Let's say that Tesla is really, like, we're thinking that this is probably it, but we don't want to get rid of our positions entirely. Well, look at what we can do, right? We can start selling some of these contracts. These calls here, they're going to pay you $50 per 100, and if it gets exercised, if Tesla does come back up to 16, so that's no problem, right? That's okay, because you still win on the trade. The covered calls get exercised, you lose your shares at 16, but remember where you bought them in from, and you still keep the $50, right? So this is that's one of the reasons why I trade so much leveraged shares. It's just the more you know about the market, the more you know about the instruments that exist for you, the better you are to navigate the market yourself. You don't only have to do this. This is what the majority of people do. They go and they buy a bunch of calls. They go and buy a bunch of puts. And then, yeah, you might get a unicorn, right? You might get an 800%er. But you could also lose a lot of money by doing that because you're not able to protect yourself. That's the whole purpose of options, actually. It was designed, first of all, to protect yourself. So, yeah. So let's see here. Thank you, my friend, Pinpon. Of course, very happy to help you guys. And, just don't take everything that I say as gospel. I do well enough to pay my bills and not get thrown out on the street. I want you guys to remember that. So yeah, right now I don't know about that. I think if we do have a down week again, just to reiterate my thesis here, my hypothesis, if we do revisit down in these levels, this is for SPX, obviously. That's going to drag everything down, and then I think it's going to be another buying opportunity. Why did I minimize that? I want to put that back on my screen. Down here. Cool. All right, so question here. Yes, can we go over Friday's data? Yes, I want to. Let's definitely go over Friday's data. So, who is ready for that? Before I get onto that, I do want to give this filter up for everyone. So, this is the filter that I've been using for tech. Now, I do want everyone to not just take what I have and then just use it and be like, oh, like ABJ uses this, it must be the best. No, I think what people do, if you're paying for quant data, if you're paying for any service, you should be well versed enough to make your own filters. So I think that I'm going to share this with you guys, but at the same time I want you guys to play around with it, start making your own filters, right? Look how many ones I have that are for testing, right? If you are not like working what am I saying right now? If you're not using the app and you don't know how to navigate it, there's a problem. There is definitely a problem. So that's the filter. This is Mag 7 plus extras, 500K. So I have it for $500,000 of premium. Cancel trades excluded. These are all the ticks that I have. And I will probably add some more in it eventually. But yeah, that's what I use so far. And it's been pretty good. It's been able to find a lot of golden sweeps that actually go wildly green. Again, I want to reiterate our Tesla position. That one has been quite a solid trade. Definitely paid my mortgage with that one. If I remember, the call side 590 was still at 1 billion at the dump. Let's see. Yeah, so let's take a look at Friday. Let's take a look at Friday. I'm going to go to this one here. Showcase your DTE stuff. Let's go to the Friday. I'm going to go to the Friday. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. All right, so I want to go to the open. Okay, now Friday was a tough day to trade for many. It was definitely a very tough day to trade. Why do you think I say that? So here's your open. I actually want to get it right to that open. Now, obviously, we had a big dump. Calls continued to buy up, though. That was very interesting. This was kind of a clue, right? We always want to preface this by saying that everything we see in the market, data included, is really just an idea. What our job as a trader is, we're trying to look for clues to determine what's the most likely scenario for price based on what we're seeing. Now, we're not always going to be right, but more often than not, the more you practice this, the more you start to understand deltas, especially if you're trading options in the New York session. The more you understand the options Greeks, primarily delta, gamma, and dana, the more you will start to realize that, hey, this stuff moves the market. Like, this is actually telling us where price is likely going to go, and we should be able to take advantage of it, right? So, what do we see? First open the market, we have puts surpassing calls by quite a bit, right? We had that mini dump. I know we took that in the live stream. And then we started to buy back up. Now this was interesting right here. So we can see how we opened, right? This is literally 631. So what do we see right off the bat? Where are we trading? We're trading in a bearish delta and a bearish gamma zone, right? Now if we look at this right here, why do we say it's a bearish gamma zone? Why do we say it's a bearish delta zone? It's because everywhere around us is actually short deltas. Now what does short delta tell us? Short delta tells us that price wants to stay below, right? It wants to stay below these short deltas and these short gammas. All right, so let's zoom it out further. Let's go to our, let's go to the first 30 minutes of the market. This is kind of when things started to change a little bit. And we had a little bit of a buy up. So that's right here, 7 a.m.-ish. Okay, now where are we at 7 a.m.? What do we see? Now this was an interesting one because I was talking to another fella in my trading pod, and he was telling me that he was just loading up shorts the entire time, and it didn't make sense to me at the time because of net drift. We were throwing off a little bit there. But now that I see it, hindsight, this might be added to the playbook, to the list of trades. Now what do we see? We see that someone is still incredibly short 5,900 and 5,925, right? Where did price go towards? Price went to 5,900, that's right here. We broke above it just a little bit. 5,909, right, was the top. Did we even get close to 5,925? No. This is still very short. But let's see what happens when we break through 5,900. So we break through 5,900 around 712. So this is 712. Right? What do we see? Is it still short? Is this kind of throwing us off a little bit? Right? Who's still short here? What do you guys see? Do we think this gamma and this thin level of delta that's positive now breaks us through, like breaks us above, can actually lead us away from these negative potholes? Because this is quite a bit short. No, it shouldn't, because these are super short. Like these are very, very, very short. And if they were to buy this back, now we know this metric before because we've traded this trade scenario before. If we see these negative deltas get bought back, that's a lot of negative delta to get bought back, right? What happens when they buy these back? Who knows in the chat? I'm going to get a little bit of activity going on here. Who knows what happens when they buy these short deltas back? What are we supposed to experience in the market? Squeeze, yes. Is it a squeeze? It's a bit of a look at, yeah, it looks like a squeeze. Rocket Fuel, Cedar Trades, hell yeah. All right, Stock Luke, I'm going to send you a Starbucks gift card right after this. All right, trying to get a little bit of activity here in the chat. Yeah, that's right. But we didn't experience that, did we? We just had a little bit of movement, and then again, we stopped at like 59. Let me see here. 5909.37 is what I see as the top on my brokerage. I don't know if that's wrong. I actually think it should be 5910 something, but that's what I see on my brokerage. At this point in time, we started to melt right back down after, right? Now, what else happened afterwards on this Friday? Let me show you. Right, because Friday, there were some things. No, not this. Remind me, I think we had press secretary speaking, right? We had some speeches going on the Friday. Now, it kind of seemed like everyone was just kind of paying attention to that. It's not showing up there, unfortunately, but I don't think they show the roll call stuff. So this is the only thing that threw us off. Now, I know that when data doesn't align up. Oh yeah, Elon's farewell. Yeah, that was what we were experiencing on Friday. No press sec, but we knew that was happening, and things just kind of slowed down afterwards. But I want to bring it now to the 9:20 area. So if someone was asking, they wanted to know how they would have been able to identify that we were going to flush. And again, these deltas remained, and these deltas remained pretty much throughout. Like, look at where we traded. Right, so I'm going to bring it to 9:20, and I want you to see what happened. So this is 9. Okay, we're going to ignore Vanna for now. Vanna's going to just fall. At this point, at 9 a.m., Vanna doesn't hold up as much anymore. Oh yeah, Jamie Dimon was also speaking. There was also that other person, I forgot his name, someone who was reiterating that the fact that the U.S. is going to deport everybody. I think we watched that one a little bit too. So this is 9. I want to show you 9:20. Right? So this is the flush that we had. Now, I know 5850 actually started to grow around 9:30. So there we go. This is the flush. This is right in the midst of the flush. Coal still kept continuing to get bought though, right? You guys see that? Even though we flushed, they still continued to buy these calls. And that is kind of the, here you go, here's your 5800, 5850. It was pretty, I mean, obviously this is dynamic, it changes every second, but QD only catches it per minute. But I know from what I was looking at, we did see 5850 grow to become MVC. We did see 5800 at some point start to rival 5900. If you go back in the trading stage, you can kind of see us talking about that. And then we started to buy it back up. Now, that was a little bit harder to catch because you can see that these deltas don't shift. This buy up is purely based on the net drift. Now, I want you to know that, I want to reiterate that. This is just an idea, and you still have to manage your own risk and manage your expectations of the market nonetheless. So when did we start to really curl back through? I believe it was 11. Right, there's your 5900 smack right there. Right, this was a tough trade day for sure. But you can see that, bring this to 11 too, might as well. Look at that Vanna juice at 5900. It's not lining up. Okay, so short because everyone was still here. The idea that we break through these short deltas, it didn't happen until like way end of the day. Actually, even like during power hour is actually where it started to really change. So let's actually bring it to power hour. You can see what happens. It's still short actually during power hour. Started to dwindle. Yeah, they started to buy back up here. But by then it would have been too late. So I do want to remind you guys that it was end of month. So there's a lot of data. There's a lot of people rolling their positions out. They could have definitely taken losers. It actually looks like they've taken some losers. Whoever the market makers were here at 5900, they definitely had to buy them back at a loss. And during this time, anyways, like you wouldn't want to be trading this pothole area. This looks pretty bad. 12:45. That's the last 15 minutes of the day. You definitely don't want to be trading that. But yeah, sometimes data is going to conflict a little bit, especially with net drift. I know a lot of you guys like net drift. I know we talk about the 1 million in difference, but look at how much of a difference it was the entire day. Even, again, throughout this big drop, it was still 1 million in difference in calls. The only thing, some of the things that threw us off was the delta and the gamma. But that's why we want to make sure you get in and get out, right? That's how I try my best to stay green. That's why I was green. I got in, made some money on that short, and then we called it, right? That's what we want to do. And now going into next week, now you guys kind of know, like, this is how we want to be navigating the market. There's a lot of opportunities. I think that there's going to be some for sure. Let's see what Monday holds for us. I think everyone's going to be all eyes on Powell. So it's kind of it. It's kind of all I have. Hopefully you guys got a little bit out of that. I'm going to go ahead and cut the recording. Don't want to keep posting these hour-long videos on YouTube. I'm pretty sure they're not that useful, an hour long.